Russians, believe it or not, are disclosing. We haven't disclosed yet, but the Russians have disclosed in an hour-and-a-half video documentary of an event that took place in 1967 down in the Antarctica. I'm going to tell you briefly about what we know about it, but their KGB declassified the information that I'm going to share with you. And this is a historical fact, which we have information around the sides of it, but we're going to try to expose it so that you can understand what really happened. So, the war ended, we'll talk about World War II, in 1945. There was a trial in Nuremberg, Germany, of the top Nazi leaders. And one guy was named Admiral Byrd. He was Hitler's chief submarine guy. He was in charge of all the U-boats. And he was bragging at the Nuremberg trial that they had discovered a Shangri-La, a remote base under the Antarctic ice shelf, where they were going to retreat and continue on the Third Reich. I mean, this guy was bragging about it. So, in 1946, Harry Truman, who was President of the United States, sent a task force to the Antarctic to find this Nazi hidden base. They called it Task Force 68. And Task Force 68 was also called High Jump. Now, if you Google Task Force 68, Google High Jump, you'll catch on to two films. One is the Russian version by the KGB. The other is the US version, which is sanitized and cleaned up. Can we have a slide, Roger? Oops. Okay, ready. Now, what the story was, is that in February 26th, in Antarctica, Admiral Byrd, a very famous Antarctic explorer, took Task Force 68 with 4,700 Navy personnel, an aircraft carrier, 20 warplanes, 12 surface ships, and their mission was to destroy this hidden Nazi base. They were commissioned for an 8-month exhibition. The mission was scheduled for 6 months. Okay, they aborted it in 7 weeks. There were heavy casualties. A destroyer was sunk and planes were shot down. And the task force retreated back to Chile. And when they got to Chile, Admiral Byrd said, in case of a new war, the U.S. would be attacked by flying objects which could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. In other words, they were attacked by flying saucers coming out of the water from the Antarctic. Now, if these were controlled by the Nazis, believe me, they would have sunk and killed all of us. But they didn't. They blunted this task force, turned it around, and sent it away because they didn't want them poking around where there was perhaps a UFO base by the aliens. What happened next was that Byrd's records were sealed. For the past 68 years, you cannot get to his logs, you cannot get to his records of what happened. The admiral who was in charge of this was named Nimitz. And remember Admiral Nimitz? He started to talk a little bit about it. They put him in a psychiatric ward at Bethesda Medical Hospital, and they claimed he committed suicide, jumped out the window. I don't believe this. I think this is a total cover-up of what actually happened. This was a U.S. Navy task force that was attacked by flying saucers February the 26th, 1947. Now remember, Roswell was the summer of 47. So the question is, what happened to this information? Why is it being concealed from the American public? I've tried to unlock Byrd's things. I get nowhere. This stone wall. So, something new has just come, which I'm going to share with you. In Malibu, California, object has been discovered by Google. You go to your Google Maps, you put in Malibu and go out in the ocean and look down, you'll see there's a dome. I'm going to use my pointer here. This is some new technology that we've just worked up here. Okay, now this dome is 500 feet thick, this thickness here. The distance from here to here is 2.45 miles. The height of these columns is 630 feet, and the opening, this entrance opening here, is 2,745 feet. Now it's so deep you can't scuba down there to see it, but they're sending out a special investigative research group that has a submersible that can go down and see what this dome is all about. I think that there's been sightings off Malibu of UFOs coming out of the water, going back into the water. Some people call them USOs, unidentified submersible objects. Okay, anyway. I'm going to leave this for you to research on your own. You go to your Google and you look up Task Force 68, Operation High Jump. Look at the Russian version. It's an hour and a half. They put it in English. And look at the American version of it. Make up your own mind what you think.